Um, First off, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you, Sue. You're the best. It's definitely been fun being your friend over the years, ups and downs. It's been good though. But I'd also like to start off. Today, I said goodbye to an old friend. She passed away from this disease. Years of drinking and shit like that, her heart just gave out. So I went through that today, and I came straight here to do this meeting. So I just want to say, rest in peace, Kristen Manning. You are loved and missed. And I'm going to start by saying I grew up in Marine Park, Brooklyn, Irish Catholic family. Alcohol was basically a normal thing in my house. It seemed normal to me over the years. You know, pretty normal family. My mother raised 5 kids. She was a stay-at-home mom. My father worked. He supported the family. Had a pretty normal upbringing, except, there was plenty of alcohol. I was my mother's youngest. She had me at 41, but also had the first 4 in her early 20s. So I had 4 siblings that were in their teenagers when I was born. So I had a lot of parents and everybody taking care of me and taking me out. Like, I was pretty spoiled. But there was also my brothers and sisters babysitting me. There was alcohol around. My brother had his girlfriend over, or my sister was at her boyfriend's house. Alcohol around, and I didn't realize this till later on. But there was drugs around too. I was too young to realize that. But I basically, I went to a Catholic school through 8th grade. I was a decent student. Life was pretty normal, but for some reason, I never felt like I fitted in with people my age or older, I guess. I was picked on a little bit, you know. It was bad at some points, but whatever. I got through it. And then at a certain point, I was around 11 or 12 years old. My father lost his job. So he was out of work for a long time. So because of that, I wasn't able to go to Catholic school with the rest of my friends. I ended up going to the local public school. And that was like a whole new world to me. I basically, a few months in, I started cutting school, hanging out, going to little parties in somebody's house. Their parents are out work. We're in the house drinking 40 ounces, smoking weed. And this is all at 14 years old. I never graduated freshman year. I repeated my freshman year the second year. Same thing, man. I was just hanging out with the wrong people, smoking weed, shit like that, and drinking 40s. I started drinking 40s, getting into fights. I guess I was searching for something because I really never felt at peace with myself. I was very self-conscious. I guess I was trying to be somebody that people respected or looked up to. So I was looking in anywhere I could find it, I guess. So alcohol and drugs made me feel good. So it started. And my father's still out of work. We're still pretty well, thank God for my grandparents. They helped us out. We didn't have to sell the house, but borrowing money off my parents or stuff like that. So I could go hang out, go to school. I was chipping in for weed, buying beer, shit like that. So then I decided to take my GED because I was no way I was going to pass my second year in high school. So now I'm 16 years old, taking GED classes in my third year of high school, and smoking weed, all that shit. I started taking acid. And a few months later, I started doing cocaine. Now, I don't know. I just kept going. I kept following that train, whatever it was. I just kept going that route. And so I passed GED. So now I think I'm a big man. I got a job. I'm staying out all hours of the night. I'm 16 years old. I just turned 17, actually. My mom's we had beepers. My mom's beeping me like crazy to come home. I wasn't listening. I was out partying. I thought I was grown, man. I had a job. I was making some decent money. Um, my, I was, and also like, I was more wild than a lot of my friends. I don't know what it was, like with the drugs. Like all my friends were still drinking 40s and fucking, and smoking weed and blunts. And I'm out there fucking taking hallucinogenic drugs and fucking sniffing coke. And it's just like I was always a step ahead of everybody. Like everybody was pretty much normal. And it just got worse and worse as the years went on. So I had a job for a couple of years. I was making a lot of money, stealing from the job too. This is the lifestyle I lived. I don't know what it was, but around 18, I started going to clubs, raves, doing more drugs now. So that went on for a few years. But at this time, it was still all fun. Like I was still experimenting with life. I was having a good time. It was just fun. It may not have been the best idea, but it was fun at the time. So just kept going on. This went on for a few years. I was raving hardcore, doing lots of drugs. Um, and I was catching myself in situations that I probably shouldn't have come home. I was going to some of these parties in these fucking in some cities, some neighborhoods that a white boy like myself shouldn't have been in. Like it was pretty dangerous. And plus, I'm all fucked up on drugs. Sorry for cursing, but it was a place that like today I wouldn't personally go to. Like I was in back alleys. Like it was just like every time I went out, there was a chance that I might not make it home that night. And to me, it was still fun. Life was life. I was working. So basically, this went on for a couple of years. Then something changed. I stopped going to parties. I stopped going to raves. I was just hanging out locally, drinking, doing drugs. And I apologize for mentioning drugs because drugs is a part of my story. But I say that because alcohol was my gateway. A lot of people say weed, but alcohol was my gateway. So no matter what, alcohol always fueled everything. I get a couple of drinks in me, it was off to the races. Like I'm calling a deal of getting high, and then it turns into a 3-4 day bender. But it always started with alcohol. Alcohol was always a part of everything. I couldn't go to the park without having a drink. Like it was so much a part of my life. It was crazy. And but back to I started becoming like a hood rat, just staying in the bars, getting high, drinking, and it was like, I think that's around the time it really stopped being fun. It was more like a necessity, like I needed it. And, getting into fights, just all stupid shit, man. Lost a couple of jobs. I get another one. It was like, I didn't care. Still living in my parents' house. I didn't have rent. I didn't have bills. It was just like I felt like I was just living the life. I wasn't going anywhere. It was a dead end. When I fast forward to when I was 29, my mother passed away from cancer. Now, a few people who know me know my mother was my best friend. Like she'd rather me hang out in the house doing this stuff than being out on the street. Like she loved my friends. My friends loved her. It was like when my mother passed, it didn't just hit me, it hit my friends too. Like she used to let us in, like I could talk to her about anything. Like basically I could tell her anything, but I never told her how bad I was with the drugs because I didn't want to break her heart. But when she passed away, it was really unexpected. She had a stroke. She was dealing with cancer. And I felt like she was bouncing back. Like a couple of weeks goes by, she was getting back. We were going to the hospital every day, and then she had a massive stroke, and she was in bad shape. And A few days after that, she passed. Now that brought my whole world to a crash. Like my world just got destroyed. Um, I went on a 6, 7, 8, maybe a whole year. I don't even remember what it was, but I went on a bender. It was like even my friends who were on drugs, drinking, well, just like me, were telling me I had to take it easy, that my grieving has got to stop. And it wasn't stopping. I almost lost my job. Thank God, like, oh, by this time I was working in the schools. I got lucky when I was 24 to get a job in the schools. And I had a great boss who also drank on the job. Like we drank at the job. Like, but he looked out for me. Like he knew I was a good guy and I was just in a bad place. So he tried to help me. And he eventually did. But I felt like I was gonna die. I felt like the only way out of that hell that I was in was death. Like I'd never been in a low place like that before in my life, and it was scary. I almost moved to North Carolina with a friend because I felt like if I didn't move, I was going to die. Like everything. I woke up feeling like I was going to die. I went to sleep feeling like I was going to die. I felt like my time was coming to an end. And then I cleaned up for a little bit, but not completely. You know, I calmed down, and that went on for a couple of years. You know, I got better, I'd say, a little better. But then it went back to the same way, you know, like the same thing. It's like I was sitting in the house doing 8 balls, drinking beers, drinking liquor, like just by myself some nights and in my parents' house. Now, my father's still alive, and my father was sick. I basically took care of my father, and there was money in the house for anything that my father needed. I would go get it. I was stealing the money so I can get drugs and alcohol. And then my brother's coming over, like, where's the money? Oh, I bought groceries with that. Like, and they knew I was full of shit because they've been there. They've done that shit that I was doing, but not at my age, you know. Now I'm in my 30s and I'm fucking lying them to their faces, you know. They come in the house, they find bags, they're finding, you know, cops were at the house, the neighbors were telling my brother. It was bad, like, and I just didn't care. Um, my father eventually passed. Now that I was ready for because he was suffering from Alzheimer's. Now, I also come from a long line of alcoholism in my father's side of the family. He became an alcoholic because when he lost his job, he went spiraling down and he quickly became an alcoholic. His father was an alcoholic, and maybe before that too. I don't know that far back, but he got Alzheimer's disease, which is directly linked to alcoholism. And he had skin cancer, stuff like that, you know, like because of his alcoholism, he didn't take care of himself very well at all. Was afraid to go to the doctors, and it came back to bite him in the end because he was so drunk. He had tumors on his face, and he wouldn't go to the doctor, and then he fell. He popped it. We got him into the hospital finally. It was bad. You know, that was like I had a love-hate relationship for my father because I seen him make my mother cry. But at the same time, he was still my father. But and I had to take care of him, and I wasn't going to hold anything against him because I felt like he was a better person at one point. That it really wasn't his fault. And but when he passed, I was kind of ready for it. It hurt, but I was ready for it. Now I'm in my parents' house all by myself. It just got bad. Uh, Started having crazy parties. More cops coming to the house. Just insanity. You know, met this girl. She moved in. You know, a lot of her friends. You know, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol. It was bad. So then my siblings decided they wanted to sell the house. So we sold the house. Ended up getting an apartment with my girlfriend. And now I got this apartment. Now I'm living close to work, everything like this. So now the house was in bad shape. So we probably had about, I probably got about $80,000 out of it. We split it 5 ways. Uh, I quickly burned through that money. Alcohol, drugs, and and like that all started when I'd be at work drinking with my buddy, and we drank every day at work. And once I got that buzz on, it was it. There was no stopping me. Like you couldn't stop. Like I couldn't just have 2 drinks and go home and call it a night. It wasn't stopping. I was going to the bar. I was calling the dealer. Like it was just bad. And then one day I said, and like leading up to this, I was kind of physical with my girl. A lot I don't remember because I blacked out, but I do remember sometimes like we get into very bad fights. And she's trying to leave and I wouldn't let her leave. Like I'd grab her. And I never wanted to believe that I had a problem, like I always joked I was an alcoholic, but like I had a serious problem and I didn't realize how bad it was. And then one day I gotta stop the coke. I'm spending too much money. So I did. So I was like, a week goes by, I did no coke. Um, what I do that next weekend, I pretty much tripled the amount of alcohol I probably drank. Um, got into a huge fight with my girl. I ended up throwing her into a wall. She hit me. I hit her back. Then I blacked out. And I woke up the next day to her telling her friend what happened. Um, I felt like a piece of shit because no man should ever put their hands on a woman. I don't care what it is. If she's hitting you, whatever it is, just walk away. Um, there's no reason I should have touched her, no matter what. And so she basically gave me an ultimatum: go get help, or she's leaving. And it I said I'll go to meetings. That's what I said. I was like, I'll go to meetings. Now that's my addiction talking, just to shut you the fuck up. I'll go to meetings. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll get better. And in the back of my head, I hear this little voice saying, "Yeah, just do it for a few weeks, and then like you can have a couple of drinks here and there. You'll be okay." And she said no. So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna look into a rehab." She wanted me to go away. I was like, "I'm not going away because, first of all, I was the only one in the house with a job. I was like, who's going to pay the bills?" I was like, "I'm not going away." I could have went to Florida. I decided not to. Decided to do an outpatient in Manhattan, which I'm glad I did. I was doing it just to shut her up, doing it to kind of like bury that whole thing that happened, and go back to my normal way of life, which was a fucking mess. And I was going every day. And my boss, who was a great freaking guy, um, he he had let me work my work schedule around the rehab. So I was going to groups every single day. And it was clicking. It was good, but it's still, I was like, I don't think I was full in. I wasn't in. It wasn't like I was going because I had to. I was like, I guess in my head, I was like, I'll pee in a cup, until I don't have to, and then I'll be okay. And then I'll go back to the way or I'll take it easy, or I'll smoke some weed, whatever it is. But I remember being in this group, and mind you, I was taking anger management too, which because I realized that anger is a huge part of my, is a huge trigger for me. I still to this day, I have a very horrible anger problem, and I'm still learning. As a lot of you in this room have heard me say, I'm still learning, and I don't think I'll ever fully get it. But at least I know every day I wake up sober, and I'll learn something new that day possibly. But some one group, I forget which group it was, but this guy was speaking, and man, he was telling my story. it was my story. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why is this fucking feel so surreal? I felt like an out of body experience or something. And it was just something about the way he was saying the shit that I'm thinking, which I was afraid to say. And I told my counselor, and she was great. I loved her. She wasn't one of those that like learned this shit from the book, and like, and she never had an addiction problem. She was a recovering crackhead and a heroin addict, and she was straightforward to the told me my bullshit all the time. And she said, "See," she's like, "Why don't you stick with this?" I said, "I think I'm gonna stick with this, see where it goes." I was like, "Because there's something that happened in that room today that I don't understand, but it felt good." And so basically, I kept it going. It was, I was feeling good. Like I was staying away from friends. I had to because all my friends drank, whether they were casual drinkers or heavy drinkers. There was drug addicts. I basically, my life at home sucked too because my girlfriend hated me. It was like a fight that I couldn't do it. So I did a lot of walking, did a lot of sightseeing around New York City, like just to clear my mind, just to anything, just to freaking clear my head because I didn't know how to do anything without getting high or getting drunk. I couldn't imagine doing anything, going to the park, going out to eat without having a drink, going to the movies without having a pre-drink before you go in. I couldn't imagine it. It was like inconceivable to me. So I had to do a lot of walking. And I walked a lot and I lost a lot of weight, but it worked. So, but basically, once I did 6 months in the program, and that was a couple of times I tested positive, which I didn't get because I wasn't drinking. And it turned out there was a problem with the lab because my last time I flipped out. I said, there's no fucking way because they were going to bring me back down to the beginning if I tested positive again. I said, there's no fucking way. I lost it. So my counselor did a retest of my piss and came back false positive, which then they questioned every test that came out of that lab. So, but I ended up getting out and I said to myself, I got 6 months. And in my head, I was still thinking like I was going to smoke a blunt. Like it would feel so good to smoke a blunt. But like I said, I got 6 months. Let's see where this goes. And I've kept it going, you know, over 6 years now. My sobriety date is November 3rd, 2014. Um, as Sue knows, I'm not I'm not very orthodox with my sobriety. I do things my way, and like I'm sure she like she does. Like people, places, and things is not a thing to me. Like I hang around a lot of active people. Like I'm still very involved in the rave scene, and for me, it works because the music and dancing is my drug now, and it also puts me in a place where I'm able to help others. And I've had many come to me and talk to me and tell me that they are proud to have me as a friend because if they need the help, they know I'll help them. And I don't know, like today, like the COVID year 2020, something happened. I got humble. I had some spiritual awakening, and I've never felt better. I've never been more sure of what direction I want to go in life. And I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to do me because I'm keeping negativity out of my life. Like I'm trying to do the best I could and keeping positive people around me. Whether they still drink or get high, I do have positive people around me who are for me and I'm for them. And if I could help one person a day, I've made some damage. So you know what? That's basically what I'm here for. The program does help. Thanks to Sue bugging my ass for a couple of years trying to get me back to go on meetings. I got back into meetings this year, and it was this group. And I've been basically 5-6 days a week ever since. So that's my story. That's all I got for now. Thank you. And God bless everyone.